Evolution of Daredevil. In the original team-up show back in the 1980s, Daredevil finally got to leap off the pages of comic books and onto our screens for the first time. Daredevil, also known as Matt Murdock, stepped in to help Spider-Man when he was wrongly accused of crimes he didn't commit. What Spider-Man didn't know was that Murdock himself was Daredevil. This became evident during their conversation when a flashback revealed Murdock transforming into Daredevil, swinging from a flagpole and across New York City. He's shown in his iconic red suit with the DD logo across the front, and Matt Murdock is shown in his lawyer form, suited and clearly blind with glasses over his eyes.
Matt Murdock is really the famous superhero Daredevil. Believe me.
In 1989, Daredevil got his live-action debut in The Trial of the Hulk. Wrongly charged after transforming into the Hulk during a subway assault, David Banner is defended by the blind attorney Matt Murdock, secretly the vigilante Daredevil. As Fisk plots criminal consolidation, Daredevil falls into a trap, and David, as the Hulk, rescues him. The two form an alliance, with Daredevil learning David's identity. Together, they thwart Fisk's plans, save a kidnapped victim, and overcome Fisk's forces. Rex Smith plays Murdock in his first live-action appearance. Daredevil is in his all-black ninja-like outfit. It wasn't just Matt Murdock that appeared for the first time on this one. It was also the first ever Stan Lee cameo, Excelsior.
A man rented a room last Wednesday. He's back tonight. 5'10", bearded, a hermit, talks to nobody.
In the Season 2 debut of the Fantastic Four animated series in 1995, titled "And a Blind Man Shall Lead Them," Daredevil comes to the aid of the Fantastic Four when they lose their powers. Murdock is shown with blonde hair, blind man's glasses and cane, and a brown coat which he removes to reveal the dark Daredevil suit from the comics, which is black with red outlines to give the impression it's deep dark blackish red, complete with the Daredevil logo.
This a private party?
Daredevil? Where'd you...
Elisa's friend Murdock asked me to keep an eye on you.
Daredevil would reappear in Season 3 of Spider-Man the Animated Series. In the series, Peter faces false accusations orchestrated by Kingpin's son, Richard Fisk. Arrested by federal agent Susan Choi, Peter seeks help from blind defense attorney Matt Murdock, who is secretly Daredevil. As Daredevil, Murdock assists Spider-Man in unraveling the conspiracy. The Chameleon, disguised as Daredevil, abducts Peter, revealing Richard Fisk's frame-up. Daredevil and Spider-Man work together to expose Kingpin's true identity, ultimately clearing Peter of all charges. The collaboration culminates in a decisive confrontation, leading to the convictions of Richard Fisk, Susan Choi, and the Chameleon. The appearance is connected with the Fantastic Four one, so his look in the iconic dark red and black is the same here. Even though Daredevil proved popular enough to cameo on other Marvel animated shows, it wasn't enough to get him his own show.
Fisk is really a devious criminal mastermind who calls himself the Kingpin.
Not to worry, The Man Without Fear would go one better and get a full live-action movie in 2003. Sadly, this one isn't remembered all that fondly, but as a whole, Ben Affleck's portrayal of Daredevil and Matt Murdock wasn't too bad. It was the rushed plots and the supporting cast that caused the cringe. The movie was originally going to be R-rated, with nudity and hard violence. I'm not sure that would have made it good, but it was dialed back to PG-13. The deep red suit looked good on Affleck. The plot is pretty close to the origin story from the comics, but things take a turn in the present day. Matt's personal and superhero lives collide when he falls for Elektra Nachios, unaware of her ties to Wilson Fisk. Bullseye, hired by Fisk, frames Daredevil for Elektra's murder, leading to a series of revelations. As Daredevil battles Bullseye and confronts Fisk, the truth about his father's death surfaces. All in all, it's still worth a watch, but the villains of the piece don't do a good job of selling this, even if Affleck does his best.
Kasada! Time to give the devil his due!
The Daredevil movie got a spin-off 2 years later with Jennifer Garner reprising her role as Elektra. Ben Affleck's Daredevil shot a cameo where he appeared to Elektra in a dream. This was cut from the theatrical release, but later added as a deleted scene on the DVD release. This is probably the most forgettable movie with a Marvel IP, and to be honest, it just really sucked. Daredevil has appeared in several skits on Robot Chicken. The original Daredevil and Friends segment was one of the best, with Daredevil encountering several other people that have lost other senses, which gave them some pretty weird powers, like Matt Murdock but way stranger, including one that lost their sense of humor. There is also the Jessica Jones intervention bit, where Daredevil and other Netflix Marvel characters came together to give Jessica Jones an alcoholic intervention, with Daredevil being the one initiating.
I'm putting my D's here. My big flamin' D's.
Marvel took a leaf out of Robot Chicken's book and made a stop-motion web series of their own, Marvel Superheroes, What the?, using mocked-up action figures of Marvel characters. The first episode Daredevil featured in was Daredevil vs. She-Hulk, where he's in court defending Wonder Man, and She-Hulk is the opposing lawyer, who smashes into the courtroom. She refers to Daredevil as Budget Spider-Man and Moon Knight, but red. The second one is Daredevil vs. the Punisher, where Matt is without Foggy, who's been kidnapped, and Punisher is filling in. But the two have very differing ideas on how to proceed in their line of work. The show is silly, but it's funny.
I was wrong about you, Frank. Your methods saved Marty a lifetime in prison, or whatever the punishment for shoplifting is.
In 2015, Netflix stepped in and undid the damage done by the 2003 live-action Daredevil movie. In their first attempt at a Marvel IP, Netflix delivered raw, gritty action with Daredevil. Set in a gritty and realistic depiction of New York City, the series explores Matt's efforts to combat corruption, organized crime, and larger-than-life threats. As Daredevil, he faces off against powerful enemies such as Wilson Fisk, also known as the Kingpin, and the mysterious ninja organization known as the Hand. The show charts Murdock's journey into becoming Daredevil, so he goes from the basic, homemade, blacked-out ninja-style suit through to the iconic red latex, as he becomes the Daredevil we all love, complete with his billy sticks. Charlie Cox delivers the best portrayal of Matt Murdock and Daredevil seen on screen. Across 3 seasons, the show delves into Matt's complex relationship with friends and allies, including Foggy Nelson and Karen Page. It also introduces iconic characters from Daredevil's comic book history, such as Elektra Nachios and the Punisher, Frank Castle. The series is praised for its character development, intense fight scenes, and the moral dilemmas faced by Matt as he navigates his dual life as a lawyer and a masked vigilante. This was so popular that Netflix faced major criticism when it announced after 3 seasons they were canceling the show.
You were right. What you told me over the radio that night. Not everyone deserves a happy ending.
In 2017, Murdock suited up with 3 other Netflix characters that had their own shows: Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. All based in New York, they came together to become the Defenders to fight the Hand, led by the enigmatic Alexandra Reed, who seeks to carry out a plan that endangers the city and all of its inhabitants. It didn't get the best reception, mainly because the Luke Cage and Iron Fist shows hadn't been well received themselves. Daredevil and Jessica Jones, both well-loved shows in their own right, carried this crossover event and made it watchable.
It's not too late to stop fighting. We can still walk out of here together.
2018 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had Daredevil's arch nemesis, Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, as its main villain. Matt Murdock and Daredevil don't feature in the plot of the film, but if you pay close attention during the train scene, Fisk's son Richard actually transforms into a young Matt Murdock for a second. A clever Easter egg in a phenomenal movie. The popularity of the Netflix show meant that Marvel always had the idea to bring Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock fully into the MCU if they could, and that happened in 2021's Spider-Man No Way Home. Daredevil doesn't feature, but Matt Murdock comes to Peter Parker's aid to represent him legally after his identity as Spider-Man is revealed, causing him to be tried for crimes by the Department of Damage Control, along with MJ and Ned. Murdock gets Peter's charges dropped, and while he doesn't appear in Daredevil form, there are a few nods to him having powers, and not being a regular blind man. This paved the way for Daredevil to appear in the MCU properly for the first time.
How did you just do that? I'm a really good lawyer.
And that came a few months later. In She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Daredevil was introduced. Matt Murdock appears in court as an opposition lawyer to Jennifer Walters, or She-Hulk in the series, with it later revealed that he's in town on Daredevil business too. There's a moment when She-Hulk finds out that Daredevil is Matt Murdock, and the two have obvious chemistry. The look is fresh too, with Daredevil sporting the red and yellow or gold suit he originally had in the comics, which tips the hat to his dad's old boxing colors. This show got slated, and rightly so as it's mostly trash, but Charlie Cox almost rescued it, teaming up with She-Hulk and confirming his MCU status.
I'm blind, relax. I have a special method that I use to See.
Daredevil returned in 2024's Echo on Disney Plus and Hulu, appearing in an epic fight scene opposite the titular character, donning the classic red again rather than the gold and yellow accents this time. He featured pretty heavily in the ad campaign for the series, but only gets around 98 seconds of screen time, which has disappointed some fans. But Marvel knew what they were doing by putting such a well-loved version of a classic Marvel character in the trailer. It got people excited. Don't worry though, Daredevil fans, the man without fear is coming back. In Daredevil Born Again, Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock will return and have his own show, this time within MCU canon, fighting once again against Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin. Marvel is going all in on this show, making it the longest episode count of a Marvel show to date, with 18 episodes in Season 1, and a second season already planned. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait.
I've been watching them all night. And then you guys show up.
What's your favorite Daredevil suit? Chat it out in the comment section and hit that like button. While you're there, remember, if you don't want to miss our next pop culture evolution video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell.